If you have ever been to Goa, you probably have been to the beaches, the churches, maybe the jungles, but have you seen and used its ferry boats? Many of these ferries have been replaced by bridges. They are still an essential lifeline to many regions, especially the islands. The rides are relaxing and enjoyable, and not to mention free. Also a great way to check out the places they fly between. My name is Ralph, and I'm going to take you on a ride across these ferries in a very interesting way. So today I'm going to try and do the ferries around Ilhas, Goa. Try to do them by crossing them only once. Let's see how it goes. We're going to make this interesting by trying to do the ferries by using a few graph algorithms. So a little bit about graph theory. A graph consists of vertices and edges. Let's use vertices or the nodes to indicate 5 cities in the world, and edges to indicate flights available between those cities. We could then mark those edges to indicate the distance between those cities. In 1736, the mathematician Euler came up with the 7 bridges of Königsberg problem. Well, he was trying to see if there was a way to go through each bridge only once. He came up with a graph representation of the island and the mainlands and the bridges. The land masses were made into nodes and the bridges into edges. Now he needed to show if this graph had a path which you could go through every edge only once. Revisiting the land masses or the nodes was okay. He was able to formally prove that no such path existed for those bridges in the city of Königsberg. These paths in graphs have ever since been called Eulerian paths. Fast forward to 2020 and the city is now Kaliningrad. 2 bridges did not survive World War II bombings. If you adjust the graph for the 5 bridges that remain, you can see that there is now an Eulerian path. Notice how we visited the island twice, but that does not matter for an Eulerian path solution. Now let's find the Eulerian path between our cities and the flights between them graph. We visit London twice, but that's okay. Key thing is to go through the edges only once. And here is what is called a Hamiltonian path. These are paths where you go through every node exactly once, and it doesn't matter if you go through the edges a few times. In the state of Goa in India, we will look at a region called Ilhas, which means islands. There are 10 ferries in this area we have chosen. Our ferry tour involves 5 islands and 3 adjacent landmasses. If you are wondering why you can't see 5, it's because some of them are separated by just a very small river or canal system. So let's turn this into a graph problem. First, let's make the islands and land into nodes, just like Euler did. Then instead of bridges, we will make the ferries between the nodes into edges. So now we have a similar problem to Euler in Königsberg. Can we find an Euler path around Ilhas? Which would mean that we go through each edge, that is ferry, exactly once. To make life a bit easier for finding a path which will take the ferries exactly once, not to mention make it easier biking around Ilhas, we will also introduce a few edges between the nodes that represent available bridge paths. The one thing different from this graph compared to the cities example we used before is that the distances on the edges don't have much significance on the journey length. The ferry rides are pretty short, with most being a few hundred meters. So what we need is the distance between the ferry points. A different approach. Instead of making the ferries the edges, let's make them the nodes and make the rides between them into edges. Do we have a Hamiltonian path in this graph, which visits each node exactly once? Let's get started. Alright, I'm ready for my Goa ferry conundrum. At this stretch to Bay-Team Ferry, there's so many crows overhead at this time in the morning, bombing. It's like that Iron Maiden song, Ace is High. We should be playing There Goes That Siren that warns us of air raid. Hopefully I don't get hit. Couple of jellyfish in the river. And by the way, this is for, well, you know why. It's have to use it once I get into a crowded space. You okay riding a cycle without that, without the mask? But yeah, crowded spaces it comes on. Peña de Franca. Beautiful view from there. I'd love to stop and take better shots of all these churches and stuff I pass by, but then I'm not going to make the ferry tour. Maybe I would inject some of them later on from another day into the clip. On the way to ferry number 2. Salvador do Mundo. I guess there's mass going on. Pomburpa Church. I couldn't see the church. Next up, the Conundrum ferry. I got delayed a bit out here, so I missed the turn, but made it. So just reached the island of Chorão from Pomburpa. That was ferry number 2. What's ferry number 3? Well, there's only one other ferry on this island, that's right under, so that's the one we have to go, especially if you don't want to cross any ferry more than once. At the church football game. I would have come, but I've got a lot of distance to go.
Well, what can I say? They made me an offer I could not refuse.
I'm coming. I'll play for a bit.
It's recording, yeah. Yeah.
So play well, okay?
Yeah, okay.
No nonsense. Where are you guys from? Wow. Thank you for the drop-in game. Very beautiful place. So I lost about maybe 20 minutes for the drop-in soccer game. Couldn't resist the invitation. Yet another big church. I don't know which one this is. This is Shura Island, but not the Shura church. I'll have to look it up. That's Shura Church. Ferry number 3 crossing from Shura Island to Raibandar. Reaching Divar. I'm about 1 hour ahead of my schedule. Divar Island. I think in the last 2 weeks I've been here like 8 times. Beautiful ride though. No bridges to the island, so I guess the traffic stays low. The road stays good. So Divar has 4 ferries, no bridges. The one I just crossed from Raibandar, one going at Old Goa, one going to the Bishoni, and one going to Washi Island. So the only way out of the island is to take another ferry. And that was ferry boat number 5. Halfway there in terms of ferry boats, but less than halfway in terms of distance.
boat number 6. Barjua to Gondoli. Really short ride. It's from there to there. So that was ferry boat number 6. St. Blaise ship, Gondoli. Never been here. This is Dauji to Tolto Santistev. Shortest ferry crossing. The ferry probably just turns and just reaches here.
That's not slow motion, by the way. That's the actual speed it's moving at.
Ferry number 7. Ferry number 7 in the books. 3 more to go. St. Stephen's Church, Santistev. Long time since I've been here.
I have a special connection to this island. It's where my grandmother was born in 1920, 100 years ago.
This ferry boat's called Divan. Ferry boat number 8. This one's busy. That's another short one. It's just going from one side of the... Yeah, that's really small. Well, apparently not. I thought that was the ferry wharf, but it's going downstream, so this could be a really long one. Really nice long ferry ride. Tonka to Samaras. You missed this ferry and you're going to be waiting a long time, so I kind of lucked out. I've been lucky today on all the ferries. I reached Samaras, that's what it's called. And that is Santistev I crossed. Ferry number 8. Tonka to Samaras, Bishoni. Ferry number 9, Narva to Diwar. This is the toughest ride. Samaras to Narva. It's just hills and hills. Go up, go down, go up, go down. Ferry boat number 9, Narva, Bishoni to Narva, Diwar, back to Diwar Island. 9, one more to go. Narva, Diwar Island again. Ferry number 10, here I come. That's ferry number 10. Ferry number 10. So waiting for ferry number 10. I was in general lucky to getting all of these ferries, but sometimes there's a half an hour gap between them. You just have to wait. This one's 20 minutes away. So I'm coming back and going. There's only one way into this island, so there's no way of completing a cycle and going through. You have to end at Washi to do every ferry only once, or start at Washi. There's no other way to do it. There's no bridge to the island. There's no. This is it. There's just one ferry. Ferry number 10 to the great Washi Island. Only one way in out there through this ferry, so I have to come back this way. Ferry number 10. Washi Ferry.
Washi has a population of just 550. But this is not just any other island. My 100-year-old grandmother, who passed away earlier this year, rests here beside my grandfather. It was a total of 58 kilometers and a duration of 7 hours 36 minutes. But I also had to get back, which made a total of 75 kilometers for the day and around 9.5 hours. 3 hours 11 minutes of which were just waiting for ferries. Here's what the actual route looked like. Also, I was light 2,240 calories from that trip. Remember how we introduced the bridge paths to make things easier? Later on, I found out that there was a Illyrian path which did not need a bridge. Here's the solution. Now enjoy these interesting moments.
See the fish jump off the wall.
I think this is a training run. The guy is going in reverse and all in the middle of the river. Take a look. It's like the Formula One of ferries.
Ferry number 7 in the books. 3 more to go.
There are another 6 ferries in Goa outside Ilhas that are further out and hard to cover on a bike in a single day. Would be interesting to know if such a trail exists where we could do each ferry exactly once. Alright, thank you for watching.